Yes, sir. Moving out.
Yes. Move out.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Yes. Of course.
Medic
Yes, sir.
reporting. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Commander, of course. Move out.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Yes. Of course. Of course. Move out.
Medic reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. Medic reporting. Moving out. Moving out. Affirmative. Affirmative. Medic reporting. Moving out.
Commander.
Awaiting
Very
orders.
well.
Very well. Very well. Very well. Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Medic report. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Moving out. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Ready and waiting.
Affirmative.
Yes. Of course. Yes. Of course. Of course.
Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir.
Commander.
Ready and waiting.
Commander. Move out.
Medic reporting. Moving out. Moving out. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Very well.
Yes, sir. Moving out. Moving out. Affirmative. Affirmative. Medic report. Affirmative.
Commander. Of course. Of course. Move out. Move out. Of course. Of course. Of course. Of course. Of course. Move out. Commander. Of course. Move out. Of course. Of course. Of course.
Reporting.
Ready and waiting.
Affirmative.
Yes, of course. Commander, move out. Of course. Of course. Move out.
Unit firepower upgraded.
Move out.
Unit armor upgraded.
Medic reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. Yes, reporting. Sir. Very well.
Commander, of course.
Reporting. Very well.
Commander, of course. Move out. Of course.
Medic reporting. Moving out. Moving out. Moving out. Moving out. Moving out. Medic reporting. Affirmative.
Yes, of course. Move out. Of course. Of course. Move out. Move out.
Yes, sir. Agreed.
Ready and waiting. Affirmative. Affirmative. Reporting. Agreed. Reporting. At once. Reporting.
Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Agreed. Acknowledged. Reporting. Affirmative.
Reporting. Very well.
Medic reporting.
Yes, of course. Of course. Move out. Of course. Of course.
Yes, sir. At once. Agreed. Ready and waiting. Very well.
Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. At once. Very well. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. At once.
Ready and waiting. At once. Agreed. At once.
Ready and waiting. At once. Very well.
Ready and waiting. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Report. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Commander, of course. Move out.
Awaiting orders. Very well. Yes, sir. Very well. At once.
Medic reporting out. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Ready and waiting.
Agreed.
Yes, of course.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Commander, move out. Of course. Of course. Of course.
Unit lost.
Of course. Of course.
Unit lost.
Of course. Of course. Of course.
Medic reporting. Affirmative.
Reporting. Affirmative. Affirmative. Very well.
Yes, sir. Agreed.
Yes. Move out. Of course. Move out. Of course.
Medic reporting. Affirmative. Moving out.
Commander, move out. Of course. Of course. Of course. Of course.
Reporting order. Very well. Awaiting orders. Yes, sir. Agreed. Yes, sir. Reporting. Very well. Ready and waiting. Agreed. Affirmative. Reporting. Very well. At once. Ready and waiting. Yes, sir.
Yes. Of course. Move out. Of course. Move out. Of course.
Unit
Of
lost.
course. Move out. Of course.
Yes, sir. Reporting. At once. Ready and waiting. Agreed. Yes, sir. Agreed.
Yes. Move out.
Yes, sir. Moving out.
Reporting.
Yes. Of course. Move out.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Yes. Move out. Of course. Move out.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Yes. Of course. Commander. Move out. Of course. Of course.
Medic reporting. Affirmative.
Commander. Of course.
Reporting. Yes, sir.
Yes. Move out. Of course. Of course. Move out.
Affirmative.
Yes. Move out. Of course.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Moving out.
Reporting. Agreed. Agreed. Affirmative. Very well.
Yes. Of course.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Yes. Move out. Yes.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Ready and waiting. Affirmative.
Yes. Move out. Commander. Of course.
Yes, sir. Reporting. Affirmative. Reporting. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Agreed.
Yes. Of course. Yes. Commander. Of course. Of course. Of course. Move out.
Ready and waiting. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Agreed.
lost.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Medic reporting. Affirmative.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Agreed. Yes,
lost.
sir. Affirmative.
Medic reporting. Affirmative. Medic reporting. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Yes. Move out.
Medic reporting.
Yes, sir. At once.
Commander.
Awaiting Very well. Affirmative. Ready yes, sir. Very well. Awaiting
yes,
orders. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Agreed.
Medic reporting.
Yes, sir.
Affirmative.
Awaiting orders.
Yes. Of course.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Yes, sir. Agreed. Awaiting orders. Reporting. Agreed.
Yes. Move out. Yes. Of course.
Awaiting yes, orders. Agreed. Ready and waiting. Affirmative. Reporting. Reporting. Very well.
Medic reporting. Moving out.
Ready and agreed. Affirmative.
Yes. Of course.
Reporting. Very well. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Yes. Of course.
Reporting. Yes, sir. Agreed. Reporting.
Yes,
Medic
sir. Moving out.
Commander. Of course. Move out. Of course.
Medic reporting. Affirmative.
Ready and waiting. At once.
Yes, sir. Moving out.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Commander. Move out.
Yes, sir. Moving out.
Commander. Move out. Commander. Move out. Of course. Yes. Of course. Yes. Of course. Of course.
Reporting.
Commander. Move out.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Agreed.
Reinforcements have
Very
arrived.
well. Awaiting orders. Of course. Yes, sir.
Medic
Moving
reporting.
out. Commander. Move out. Yes. Of course.
Unit lost.
Ready and agreed. Yes, sir. Very well. Awaiting orders. Awaiting orders. Acknowledged.
Medic reporting. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Very well.
Yes. Of course. Of course.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Medic reporting. Moving out.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Agreed. Reporting. Reporting. At once. Reporting. Agreed. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Ready and waiting. Very well. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Yes, move out.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Unit armor
At once.
upgraded.
Ready and waiting. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Reporting. Agreed. Agreed. Reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Agreed. Ready and agreed. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Ready and waiting. At once. Awaiting orders. Ready and waiting. Very well. Yes, sir. Very well. Yes, sir. Very well. Reporting. Very well. Reporting. Agreed. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Commander, move out.
Unit lost.
Acknowledge. At once. Ready and waiting. At once. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Acknowledge.
Commander, of course. Of course. Of course.
Unit lost.
Move out. Of course. Of course. Of course. Of course. Move out. Of course. Of course. Move out. Of course. Move out. Of course. Move out. Of course. Of course. Move out. Of course. Move out. Of course. Of course. Move out. Move out. Of course. Of course. Move out. Move out. Yes. Of course. Of course. Move out. Of course.
Yes, sir. Moving out.
Acknowledged. Ready and waiting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Reporting. At once.
Yes. Move out.
Medic reporting. Moving out.
Reporting. Acknowledged.
Commander, move out. Of course. Of course. Of course. Of course.
Unit lost. Unit lost.
Of course. Of course. Of course. Of course.
Reporting. Yes, sir.
Yes. Of course. Of course. Of course.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Very well.
Commander,
Reporting. Very well. Affirmative. At once.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Commander,
Yes, sir. Ready and waiting. Very well.
Commander, of course.
Yes, sir. Moving out.
Reporting.
Yes, of course. Of course.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Reporting. Yes, sir. Agreed.
Commander, of course. Of course. Of course.
Ready and waiting. Well. Waiting or acknowledged.
Commander, of course.
Yes, sir.
Commander,
Unit
of
lost.
course. Move out. Of course. Of course.
Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged.
Commander, move out.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Commander, move out. Of course.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Commander, of course.
Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Commander,
Yes, sir. Moving out.
Commander, of course. Yes, move out.
Waiting order. Affirmative.
Commander, move out. Of course. 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 Of course.
Waiting order. Acknowledged.
Medic reporting. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Yes, of course.
Unit firepower.
Of course. Of course.
Waiting orders. Acknowledged.
Yes. Of course. Move out.
Yes, sir. Moving out.
Commander? Of course. Of course. Move out.
Medic reporting.
Yes. Of course.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Reporting. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Moving out.
Reporting. Awaiting orders. Very well. Very well. Affirmative.
Medic reporting. Moving out.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Reporting. Agreed. Reporting. Very well. Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Reporting. Affirmative. Ready and waiting. Very well. Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Reporting. Agreed. Reporting. Reporting. Yes, sir. Awaiting orders. Agreed. At once. Very well. Affirmative. 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 Of course. At once. Very well. Affirmative. Very well. Very well.
Unit lost.
At once. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. At once. Affirmative. Affirmative. Of course. Yes, sir. At once.
Unit lost.
Ready and waiting. Very well.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Ready and waiting. Reporting. Agreed. Affirmative. Very well. Yes, sir. At once. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Very well. Acknowledged. Very well. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. At once. Reporting. Yes, sir. Ready and waiting. Agreed. Very well. Ready and waiting. Affirmative.
Unit firepower.
Yes, sir.
Upgraded. Unit lost.
Affirmative. Very well. Waiting order. Acknowledged.
Commander? Of course.
Awaiting affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir.
Commander? Of course.
Vehicle report. Affirmative.
Commander? Move out.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Commander? Move out. Of course. Of course.
Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged.
Yes. Of course.
Awaiting order. Affirmative. Acknowledged. 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 Acknowledged.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Commander? Of course.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Yes. Of course.
Yes, sir. Moving out.
Vehicle affirmative. Affirmative. Reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative. Awaiting orders.
Medic reporting. Affirmative. Moving out. Moving out.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. At once.
Yes, sir. Moving out.
Yes, of course.
Medic reporting. Yes, sir.
At once. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Agreed.
Commander?
Reporting. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Ready and waiting.
Yes, of course.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, of course. Of course. Of course. Move out. Of course. Of course. Commander? Of course. Move out. Of course.
Waiting affirmative.
Acknowledge.
Very well. Reporting. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Yes, of course.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Acknowledge.
Ready and
yes,
waiting.
Sir. At one. Reporting. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Reporting. Very well. Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Mission accomplished.